Good morning and welcome to the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship, where we have just been informed that the start of qualifying is delayed for around about half an hour, 10:50 local time, 2:50 over there in the morning, when the session will go green. Track conditions are abysmal. So let's cross over then, and before we get going, we have a delay. Let's cross over to the world feed.
To the wall there's definitely a bit of a dip, so something to look out for. Maybe a little bit easier on the car, but not so much.
So we're on the outside of turn 4, Jake. Super difficult for the attack mode. Tell us a bit about this challenge.
Yeah, last year we had a few difficulties. I think drivers weren't really getting the loops very well, so they made some modifications, put us actually slightly closer to the outside line now, which is basically the wall, so there's like no margin for error, especially if it's wet on Saturday. So yeah, risk versus reward. I think you'll gain quite a lot of that time if you take the risk.
So Nick, first of all, podium, Tokyo here. You like the track?
I think the track will have a little bit of a better flow. Last year it was so tight that there was no real compromises anywhere because it was just so slow and tight. This year it will probably be a little slow and tight. This year it will probably be a little bit different because you could potentially carry a little bit more entry, speed in 6, sacrifice 7, and then get the exit up 7.
Turn 17 and 18.
It's exactly a lot going on here because the drivers will have to tuck to that side to prepare a really good exit. The time loss for the pit boost.
Well, that's our track guide. Let's see what happens in the race.
What a great track, particularly at turn 2 when the cars went airborne last season. I mean, it was just such a great moment to see, although it has been slightly reprofiled. Disappointing for us, but good for the drivers.
Good for the drivers. They definitely needed a chiropractor after this. They were jumping here on the exit of turn 2. Big challenge also for the batteries and the chassis. So, yeah, I'm quite pleased that they've reprofiled it just a little bit. There is still quite a bump there on the exit of turn 2.
Okay, so we can still keep an eye out for plenty of action. Katie, great to have you with us. Talk us through, you know, you've obviously been out speaking to some of the drivers and how they're feeling about driving in the rain on this track. I mean, it really is. It's not quite as unforgiving as it was last season. It has been slightly widened, but it's still going to be incredibly hard for them.
I think it is. There's no room for error here at all, as we've seen in practice, especially at turn 16. And I think it's pretty treacherous out there. We know that there's not much grip in the way. We've seen them slide in. I actually thought it looked quite fun to drive this morning, some of the slow-mos. I'd prefer to drive one of these in the wet than driving a rally driver, I think. But yeah, I think massively challenging to go racing like that. They're saying that they've got no visibility. If you imagine them all bunched up on the start, I think it would be a real challenge. But let's hope it kind of dies down for this afternoon. I think it is meant to, so hopefully it'll be all right for the race.
And, I mean, is there anything that the drivers and the teams can be sort of doing at this point, you know, other than just kind of waiting it out until we find out when we do go green for qualifying? Can they use this extra prep time? Are they going to change their strategy? What are they doing?
Not really. They need to stick to what they know. And the big thing that they would have got this morning is whether they have the right tyre pressures or not, because the more rain, you need slightly higher tyre pressures, you need more tyre temperature. So making sure the tyres are working correctly, that's the most important thing in these conditions.
Now, one of our drivers who has a little bit of a reputation for being occasionally hot-headed, but a very great character in the Formula E paddock is Dan Ticktum. And James, I think you had a good catch-up with him, trying to bring him down a level or two. Let's see what happened.
Daniel-san.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm here to help you relax.
Yeah.
Consider me your sensei of serenity.
Good luck, mate.
Your teacher of tranquility.
Fantastic.
And your pacifier of peace.
Good.
Halfway point of the season. What's your honest review so far?
I'm slightly underwhelmed a little bit. I don't think I was quite on it in the first few races. But now I'm like very confident in the car, and obviously coming off the back of Monaco where, you know, we were very fast.
Dan Ticktum, fastest in FP1, fastest in FP2.
I feel like I'm pretty much at the point where I'm getting the most out of the car in most sessions. So, yeah, getting there.
In the build-up, I mean, you topped every session, including your groups.
Yeah.
Dan Ticktum, take a bow. Fantastic lap time for the Briton.
Then you had that moment
What a joke. Unboxing.
He wasn't in 350 kilowatt power mode in the dual stages of qualifying. What? The team had put the car in the wrong mode. He still had 300 kilowatts and two-wheel drive.
Yeah, I suggest I don't talk to my team for at least 2 hours because I think might punch someone.
I just would like your thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, there's a few things I need to address because obviously that should never be said. I would never actually do that. It's more of a figure of speech of just anger. You know, I shouldn't have worded it like that. But yeah, I just want to say that, you know, to my team, I'm incredibly respectful, all the way from the mechanics, the engineers, systems guys, all the way to the guys at the top. Like, you know, we all get on very, very well. It's actually a nice environment. From an operational point of view, everything has become a lot more slick, and actually we've had very little issues with stuff like that 350 incident. So, you know, that's kudos to the team. They've done pretty well. In terms of, you know, me saying things like that in the interview, I've got to the point now where I'm in my career where I'm just sort of not really going to act anymore. Like, you know, I spent 2 years after the Jakarta, infamous Jakarta radio.
Don't talk to me, anyone. No one talk to me. Leave me alone. Tell my taxi to be ready in 15 minutes. I'm getting out of here.
I said nothing and did nothing. No one remembers it. I really care about being in the sport and, you know, I want to win still and all that, but, like, I don't want to spend 15 years acting. So, you know, and I think the environment where I'm in now is good with the team, and yeah, I've got to still polish some areas. I'm definitely not perfect, but I'm going to be more me, you know, so.
Progress will come in all areas.
Yes, definitely.
Peace and tranquility.
Yes.
Catch up with Dan. I think very reflective of him. But I also feel like, you know, it's not the first time that he's said things like that. And yet he still brings all of his personality to the track. What do you think, James?
He's evolving. This is a great thing with Dan. You know, he's been in a team that they didn't have the equipment to fight at the front. Now he does have it. And now he really has to learn. He has to take the right steps to deliver the results. He's clearly got the speed and all the natural talent that you need to succeed. But he really needs to build this team around him. He needs to get full support of everybody, and then he can deliver podiums and the results that they all deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really has been a turnaround for him and the team to suddenly be, you know, consistently in the duels and fighting for points. It's kind of what he needed in his Formula E career as well, isn't it?
He needed it, for sure, but also I think we needed it. We need the Dan Ticktum and the full character to be at the front, and I can't wait to see him when he does get that first podium.
Katie, what are your views? You've obviously known Dan now for a while.
Yeah, exactly the same. I think it's so good to have colourful characters in sport. It's what makes it entertaining for fans. It's what builds a story. So, yeah, I think we're all really happy to see him at the front. It's very entertaining as a fan to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will soon hopefully have some news on when qualifying is getting underway. It doesn't look like the rain is letting up too much, although someone did mention we could have a dry race. Do we want a dry race?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, the marshals are clearly having plenty of fun on the track, and hopefully we will be too. It's great to see, though, that despite the weather, we have still got fans coming out to watch. We just need to give them a show now. We need to provide that action that they are here to see. This, of course, is only the second time that Formula E has come to Tokyo. Kind of an iconic home of street racing, really. So it's where we should always have started, but it's the first time that we've had a doubleheader. So kind of quite handy that we don't get the opportunity today to really shine. We've got tomorrow to do it all over again.
Well, the fans, they look very well prepared. So they look very well prepared for the weather.
You've got a bit of a fan club here as well, though, James, because last night when we walked back to the hotel, everybody's like, oh, James, because he raced here for 15 years. Everybody wants photos, everyone wants his autograph, so you've got your own little fan club in the grandstand.
Yeah, my past catching up with me. But yeah, no, it's great to see everybody here, and there are so many passionate fans here. Motorsport is so important in Japan, and it's so great to see everybody here to support us, even in these difficult conditions.
So we've got a safety car that's pulled up behind us. Are they going to send the safety car out to do a bit of a track inspection?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think
Is that what we want?
somebody
Is this
needs
a
to
good
get out
sign?
there.
Is this a bit of positivity?
Although I did see his face a minute ago when he got out, and it was like, wow. I think it was more water than he was expecting, so...
At what point is too much rain?
Well, I think now the rain has eased off, so now I think Bruno needs to go out in a safety car. What we need to do is we need to do some laps, check that there's not enough standing, or not too much, sorry, standing water, and that the cars can actually go out on track. Because as soon as the standing water is not so much of a problem, they can really get out there, clear some of the track away and or the water away from the track, and then we can actually get going with this qualifying session.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, in a good way, I think well, as you say, the runoff water, it does seem to clear relatively fast. So as soon as the rain gets lighter, we should be able to go again.
I think the only place where there was standing water, I think, is at turn 7, where there was it goes downhill from turn 6, and there was a little kind of gutter there. But the rest of the track, it's very slanted, so actually the water should run off the circuit. We shouldn't have that much problem with the standing water.
Okay, well, Bruno, who is the safety car driver and has been since the very beginning of Formula E, has taken that Porsche Taycan out on track and will hopefully be giving us some good news and giving us the green light. So the safety car has gone for a bit of an inspection lap to find out if the track is ready for qualifying to take place. But Saunders is now with the race director with a bit of an update.
I'm here in race control with Pablo Martino, head of Formula E for the FIA. Now, in conditions like this, can you give us your insight on what you're looking for on whether we can deem it raceable or not?
Yeah, so especially the first thing that the FIA and the race director is taking a look into is safety of the drivers, of course. So they are monitoring constantly the weather forecast and the weather progression. But the first thing is to ensure that the drivers are on safe conditions and they will not be sent on track in any case if it's not safe for them.
So we've seen Bruno go out in the safety car. What's the verdict as it stands?
Yeah, basically he's providing a driver's feedback of the situation and the conditions of the track in real time, basically.
So then what was the conclusion of that assessment? Are we going to have a bit more longer delay? Is it a chance for cars to get out there soon?
But that's what we are trying to decide right now. For the moment, it's a standby position. They will not go on track for the moment.
Thanks, Pablo.
Oh, thanks very much, Saunders, for that update. So, really no news at the moment, which is always good, isn't it? Is no news good news in this situation? Not really.
Well, the safety car's on track, so that is good news.
Okay.
The fact that he's there still analysing everything, making sure that the conditions are okay, and that the fact that they're checking is actually positive, I think.
Is there an advantage, disadvantage being in Group A or Group B, Katie?
Well, I think as long as it's raining, the track's not going to clear up, so I don't think we're going to see dry lines coming through, although it's not raining as much as it was before. But one thing that we were looking at the back of the Envision garage just now was the drainage. Keeping ourselves entertained. And it has got really good drainage coming off the racetrack, so hopefully it does clear quite quickly.
Yeah, just looking at these shots here of the safety car driving around, there's not that much standing water, even though it's very, very wet. There's not many puddles and standing water, which is the main problem that causes the aquaplaning. So I hope we should be able to get underway soon if we don't see the rain intensifying over the next sort of 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, well, fingers crossed that we get some good news from Bruno there. Looks like he's having fun, though, in the safety car. His passenger looks slightly terrified, though.
I would not want to be a passenger in that
His
safety car.
passenger's the race director, actually. I saw him getting in the car behind us.
That does look fun, though. Well, let's head over to Saunders now. He's catching up with Eduardo Mortara to how he's feeling about this delay in the wet.
I'm here down at the Mahindra Racing Garage with Eduardo Mortara. Now, you've been out on track so far this morning. Just talk to us about those conditions, because it looks treacherous.
Yeah, we had very difficult conditions this morning. Obviously, I think that now you have even more water on track. So I guess that we're waiting further instructions from the race director to know what we are going to do. But yeah, not easy out there, and waiting actually what's going to happen.
How close to the limit would you say it felt this morning? And as far as I'm concerned, the conditions are worse. But
it's actually quite survival mode out there. You get a lot of scary moments, especially on the straights where we had actually quite a lot of aquaplaning and oversteer moments. So it's not easy to control the car in these conditions, but I guess it's the same for everyone.
Now, obviously, we hope that qualifying does happen and cars get out. But in the event that it doesn't, FP2 results are taken, which works out pretty well for you guys.
It will, but yeah, we need to wait a little bit what they will decide for us. It doesn't look like you know, rain is actually slowing down, but you never know. So, and there is still a race to do. We just have to wait and see, you know, what's going to happen.
Fingers crossed. Thanks, Edo.
Thank you.
We will indeed. We are just going to have to wait and see, but we are due an update from race control in a couple of moments' time. So we will be bringing that to you as soon as we do know. I mean, again, you know, the drivers, you can sense a little bit of frustration there from Edo Mortara, eager to get in the car, just wants to get qualifying underway. I mean, in the instance that qualifying didn't go ahead, I believe we take the positions from FP2. Is that right, James?
That is correct. You can see Edo's reluctant to go up because he was very fast in FP2, which means he would have a very good grid position for the race this afternoon. So I do think there is going to be a bit of a split decision amongst the drivers, which is exactly why we have the safety car driver evaluating the situation and not the drivers.
Yeah, yes, I see what you're saying. So they would all come out with slightly different opinions, I'm sure.
Yes, well, if you were in the top 5 in FP2 and you knew you were going to have a good grid slot if the session doesn't happen, you're going to be quite keen on making sure the race director takes his time to make this judgment and making sure that he's very, very cautious. Whereas someone like Nick Cassidy, who really struggled in that practice session, is probably very eager for them to get on with it and get out on track.
And this is also, Katie, when it becomes really difficult, once it does go ahead, is that kind of risk return. I mean, how much risk do you really want to put into qualifying here? Because the race is just, you know, an hour or so after qualifying. We don't have any time. If your car is damaged, if you go into the wall, there is no time to get that car race ready. And of course, there's another race tomorrow as well.
Well, absolutely, and especially with Group A and Group B stages, you're in 300 kilowatts, so all the drivers are saying it's a lot less stable, it's harder to drive in the wet conditions just with the rear-wheel drive, so it is definitely a risk. And also with a wet race, a lot more can happen. As we were saying earlier, some of the drivers that haven't been performing that well this season will be excited about it because it's going to kind of even out the level playing field between all the cars, and it becomes a lot more down to driver instincts and just managing the situations out on track, because I think there'll be a lot more safety cars than usual in conditions like this.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy day, that is for sure. Right, let's head down to Saunders and see who he's found to chat to.
Thanks, Nikki. Yeah, I'm here. I'm delighted to be here with Oliver Askew. First of all, great to have you back in the paddock. The man from Jupiter, Florida. This is weather you're perhaps not used to, but very experienced driving a Formula E car, of course.
Yes, of course. Very chilly. I'm surprised you're just wearing a T-shirt.
From the UK, though, it's easy.
Of course, that makes sense. But yeah, very good to be back here. Obviously, love working with this team and spending a lot of time in the simulator nowadays. And yeah, here if they need me, God forbid anyone has an injury or is ill. So yeah, with this condition, yeah, the boys are going to have a tough time of it out there, up and down the grid. I think it's a dynamic condition, constantly changing. Having to react to how the car is performing in every corner, and it can be different every single lap. So it's not like in the dry where you can get away with driving in a rhythm and improving just a couple hundredths or tenths every lap. Here there's going to be big chunks taken out of the lap time each lap, trying to find the limit, and yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. Hopefully we can get going. I don't know, with this current amount of water on the track, I don't know what the race director is going to decide.
Well, hopefully we'll have an update in the next few minutes when they decide. But let's talk about driving in these conditions, because you've got experience in multiple championships, you know, from the Indy side. But I want to know what the difference is when it comes to electric single-seaters and the things you have to think about when the track is as wet as it is.
Right. Well, with these cars, you have so much torque and not so much lateral grip in the mid-corner. So a lot of it comes down to putting the power down. Right now, I think that was the number one thing the boys complained about coming from FP2, is just not able to put the power down. And a lot of these corners or straights on the track are combined. They're not pure straight line acceleration. So that makes things a little bit more difficult. But yeah, just working with the systems and getting the brakes sorted as well. You know, it's all about stopping the car and then accelerating in a straight line and getting a good shot. So yeah, that's sounds simple, but it's very, very complex, and they're still looking through the data, trying to perform for qualifying.
Jake mentioned to me on the track walk yesterday, when it was a lot drier, that the Andretti team had some trouble with the wet weather setup. When you've got such little things you can do to the customization of a Formula E car, what can you do to maximize wet weather running?
Yeah, like I said, looking at all aspects of the car, whether it's the mechanical setup, you know, the roll bars, how soft we run the cars in the wet can be a big difference to the dry running, and also just controlling the systems and the slips and the deceleration, making sure that you can get the car stopped at the appropriate part of the corner and then have a good shot on the exit, like I said. So, yeah, it's in this condition, they say it's the, you know, the great equalizer, right? Where the drivers have more control over their performance. But yes, I think that's the biggest difference between, let's say, an Indy car and then a Formula E car. You're a little bit more handcuffed with what you have with the Formula E car. So
makes it more exciting.
Yes, for sure.
Thanks, Oliver.
Thank you.
Well, the safety car is back in. We can see the race director has just gone in to have a chat with the FIA. So fingers crossed, in a few moments' time, we will be bringing you an update. But despite the weather, it has not dampened the mood here in Tokyo. Tokyo, where ancient traditions collide with modern innovation, where the meets the furious, and then our drivers got angry.
You broke my front wing.
First up, the cars took to the track for qualifying, and it was the hometown favourite Nissan's Oliver Rowland who took pole.
Nissan on pole, on home soil, here in Tokyo.
Joining him out front was Maserati's Maximilian Günther.
Lights out and we're racing here in Tokyo.
After a clean start to the race, chaos ensued.
Lucas has just shunted me into the wall. He just crashed to the side of me. That was such a nothing move.
Not allowed what Sergio did there, man. Completely screwed me. Pushed me in the wall last corner, lost 2 places.
Side by side there, bit of contact through the exit of turn 4 between Dennis and Mortara.
Put me in the wall, this idiot.
Man, why does he turn left? Give me no space.
What was that from Pascal? Where does he want me to go?
Some faced technical difficulties.
My steering wheel nearly just came off in my hands.
Sam, does everything feel okay now? Sam?
It's fine now, it's fine. Fine.
Others cause their own problems.
Oh, disaster for Jaguar here in Tokyo, their 100th race. And unfortunately, we say sayonara to the Kiwi.
Oh, that's my fault, guys, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm out.
After sitting in Rowland's slipstream throughout the race, Günther finally made his move.
So Günther takes over at the front from Oliver Rowland then.
Heading into the final lap, Rowland was running out of time and energy.
Rowland's down to 1% on his energy, so if he needs to make a move count, he needs to do it now.
Through into the middle sector we go, into turn 15. We've seen moves being made. Look at Oliver Rowland on the outside there with Max Günther. We're side by side for 3rd place as well. Just it's advantage Max Günther. Rowland sitting there in 2nd place, but they're down to 0.1% energy. It is going to be absolutely critical to the checkered flag. Günther's just got enough in his pocket as he comes through the final couple of corners. Maximilian Günther on the streets of Tokyo takes Maserati's first win since Jakarta last year.
Heartbreak for the home team. Delight for Max Günther.
What a drive from the German.
Well, once the action does get underway here in Tokyo, let's go to James at the E-pad, who can take us through some of the action we can expect.
Thanks, Nikki. So, we can have a quick recap on last year's race whilst we wait for the rain to calm down a little bit here. Here we can see it's quite narrow on this street circuit. Now, they only had 2-wheel drive at the start. This year, they will have 4-wheel drive, so we're going to see a faster action, but we can see how much side-by-side action we actually got. And going into turn 1, Edo Mortara, who's been a man on good form recently, was in P2, which is something that we're going to look forward to, I think, today. He's been incredibly fast so far in the last couple of weekends. Here's the infamous jump on the exit of turn 2, everyone running side by side. Now, the FIA and the circuit here have actually widened the track in this area to allow a bit more room due to the fact that they were so close to each other, and it was very difficult for them to make it side by side. The attack mode on the outside of turn 4, this is something that we're going to see where they have to activate their four-wheel drive attack mode during the race with 350 kilowatts. Super tight here, 5, 6, 7, very, very tight. And then you come out onto a straight into a very high-speed turn 9. This has been super exciting to watch the cars here in the wet this morning. We can have a little watch of the race from last year. Antonio Felix da Costa pulled off a beautiful move, which he lined up here. This corner doesn't exist anymore. It's turn 16 from last year, so unfortunately we're not going to see any action here. But he pulled a beautiful overtake last year. He's definitely a man to watch later on today. Here's the final corners. And I think here is Mitch Evans getting all out of shape. Now, this is something that we're going to see that's going to be very tricky. If I just go back a little bit here, we can see actually where Mitch got out of shape in the braking area. Oh, if I can make it work. And he clattered into the back of the Envision, and that dislodged the front wing, meaning it was game over for Mitch and his Jaguar team. Unfortunately, that was that for him. And that was the day over. You can see him struggling to get back to the pits here, but at this point, you know, the race is really done for him. Not much to do. Better to get the car back to a safe place. There's not many places to pull off the track here. Now, we had an amazing battle towards the end of the race with Oliver Rowland and Max Günther. This was an unbelievable final couple of laps where we saw Max really closing in on Oliver. Max had an energy advantage because Oliver had led so much of the race at this point. Max had been able to save that vital extra % of energy, and then he unleashed it here and drove right past Oliver and left him a bit surprised, really, because from what I understand, speaking to Oliver, he thought he had it in the bag. He thought it was going to be too difficult for Max to overtake on that last lap. He tried to make it back around the outside here, a beautiful attempt at the move, but just not enough energy there, and he had to lift off, and that was it. Max Günther winning a beautiful race last year and showing exactly how it should be done if you save your energy in second place. Now, speaking of dry, we did have some more action in the dry yesterday, where we had Taylor Barnard, who had a little bit of an incident in that reprofiled turn 16. So there's a long straight here coming into this corner, and it's a very fast corner, high-speed entry, and you can see Taylor there took an almighty hit. Now, if I go back a little bit to where he appeared, there's a bit of a crest, and at the point where he arrives, he's already well out of shape, and he corrected the car, and he just slammed into the wall. McLaren have done a great job overnight to repair the car and make sure it was all perfect for today, but it was a huge impact. This is coming out of turn 15. Here you've got the long straight coming down. You can see that Taylor was fully committed. It's quite early in the first free practice session. He turns in on the brakes, little bump, corrects the car, and a huge impact. It was really great to see him okay, though. I have to say, I was quite worried when we saw the impact that there was going to be some damage to Taylor himself. However, he seemed to be all right on that one. Now, wet FP2, seeming as though water is the theme of the day. Oliver Rowland kept us very entertained, trying to get some tyre temperature leaving his garage at the start of the session. John-Eric Verne clattering into the wall, aka as Taylor Barnard did in the dry, but with the wet being a little bit more slippery and bouncing off. Nick de Vries going long at turn 1 in the brakes, and David Beckman also going a bit too deep in the attack mode. One of the themes that we saw in this session was people outbraking themselves. When you go to the attack mode, you've got four-wheel drive, you've got much more traction on the exit of the corners. You really launch yourself out of the corner, and you just end up arriving so much faster. You've got not much, I would say, balance back to understand where the braking point is. So, Nikki, how are we doing? Have you got any updates for us on the weather?
It's still raining. Is the update, James? Thank you, James. That was actually really, really insightful stuff on the e-pad. Do you know what? The rain has lightened a tad. a little bit in the last like 5 minutes. But does that mean the safety car will go out again? I'm not sure. We have been told that we are going to get an update on the hour. So we've still got about 10 minutes to wait to find out what is going to be happening during this qualifying session. So all a bit of an unknown at the moment. Fingers crossed it does go ahead. But as we mentioned earlier, if it doesn't, we look to FP2 results. So shall we look to the FP2 results? Because actually, it was quite interesting to see, Andre, how the momentum from Monaco, the Nissans, the Mahindras, has continued.
Yeah, they're clearly doing something right with their car, and I think they must have really good settings, meaning that when the driver is going on power, the way the engine is cutting the traction control, it's really functioning well, and also on the brakes, because on the attack mode power, you have 100% traction control and anti-locking, so the drivers can really trust the car completely, which is not the case in 300. In 300, you only have 10% of the power band that you can control with the traction control.
Yeah.
So it seems like in the wet, and also in the dry, works really well. And on a small, twisty track like this, I think it's very important to get these settings dialed in correctly.
Interesting to see the second page of the FP2 results there. I mean, Katie, you've got both Porsches, both Jaguars, both Maseratis missing out. So it could be hugely disappointing for Porsche, because this is really a moment, you know, they've got such a points gap, both of those Porsche drivers, from Oliver Rowland in the championship at the moment. They really need to capitalise on it.
Yeah, it's a pivotal point of the season, really, halfway through. It's the halfway point this weekend. I think Mitch has been pointless since his first win at the start of the season, so I think they're all eager to turn it around. They're really running out of time when they're thinking of the championship standings here. And also for the Andrettis as well, I know Jake Dennis down at the bottom, he'll be really disappointed with that, and I'm sure he would have improved on that going into qualifying here. So fingers crossed they can get out on track, because I know that won't be satisfactory for them to start at the back of the grid today.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, Saunders has been busy in the pit lane, and he's now with Tommaso Volpe.
Tommaso Volpe, obviously never good to see sessions not taking place, but at the same time, I guess maybe you're thinking FP2 results stand, this is pretty good for Oliver and Norman.
Well, of course, if it doesn't happen, quali, and it would be a good result for us. It would be fortunate, but at the same time, we said this result yesterday as well, so we have this value in terms of performance. Having said that, we are not scared to go through qualifying. I mean, of course, we would be happy even if we do qualifying. The only thing is that it might be dangerous in these conditions. I think many drivers are concerned about how wet it is.
Fairly so as well. Just looking at the wet performance from not just Nissan the team, but the Nissan powertrain. FP2, you had 3 of the 4 Nissan-powered cars in the top 5, and then going back to Monaco, another wet race, Oliver was doing exceptionally well there as well.
Yeah, I must say that we are even surprised how good we are on wet, because at the beginning of the season we were considering wet some sort of weakness for us. But yeah, so far we have proved good performance on wet. Let's see. I mean, it's not very meaningful anyway, the free practice. We need to see the race. And
it could be meaningful today if we don't get out in qualifying. But I'm curious to know what the Nissan weather radar is saying. Is the weather looking to stay this way for the race as well, or improve?
No, apparently what we have seen is that there will be a slot of dry weather, so no rain, but then there will be rain again. So what is crucial, I guess, is to see how much the track will dry in the period where it is not going to rain. But it will be probably a wet race anyway.
Thanks, Tommaso.
No problem.
Lovely stuff there. Thank you to Saunders and Tommaso Volpe. Tommaso Volpe, though, must be feeling quietly confident, quite happy at this point in the season, knowing that Oliver Rowland has done so well in the Drivers' Championship so far. He just perhaps needs a bit more performance from Oliver's teammate Norman Nasso to help with the team's championship.
to be honest, Norman was performing very well. He just had a few issues that were not really his fault, but it will be also hard to fight against Oliver. But if he can get close, which he is now, so it's good. Like I said, maybe he's eating natto here, you know, so extra
Explain
power.
to us what natto is, because none of us know what natto is.
Natto is something, the only thing I don't eat here in Japan is fermented soybeans, and they eat it for breakfast over rice. It has a really weird smell, but apparently it's very, very healthy.
Oh, well, there you go. That's giving him the extra oomph. Katie, obviously, you know, the fact that we have seen Norman maybe look to the other side of the garage and see how well Oliver Rowland's doing, is that an encouragement when you see how well your teammate's doing, or can it be disheartening? How does it work?
It depends the kind of driver you are, to be honest with you, how you handle pressure. Some people get fired up by it. I'm sure he's learning a lot, and obviously the car's set up well, and it proves that it's possible. So I think he's been really determined and really focused when I've spoken to him this week, and in Monaco as well. It was a shame, obviously, what happened in Miami for him, because he delivered a really good weekend there, and it was all out of his control. But if he can bring some strong points in for the team, I think that would be the dream weekend for Nissan here.
Absolutely. Well, soon we will find out. But for now, let's hear from Dan Ticktum and see how he's doing after that very zen and reflective interview with James. How is he feeling now with Saunders in the pit lane in the rain?
Dan Ticktum, these conditions are tricky. I know you're no stranger to driving in the wet, but there's surely got to be a limit.
Yeah, I think practice was right on the limit. I think racing, I'm glad they let it happen because it was on the limit, but yeah. This track is very bumpy. There's a lot of different surface changes. There's a lot of white lines, which are very slippery. It's quite difficult, yeah.
So going out for qualifying is one thing, but then racing in weather like this is completely different. Can you give us an idea of why it's so much harder?
Yeah, so like, I'll be brutally honest, even the conditions in practice, you can't race in that. Like, definitely not like a start, because you just can't see anything when you're behind a car. Like, I was about 100 meters behind a car and I saw nothing. So if there's a whole pack of us, yeah, you just can't see. So, yeah, I think we got an update in a minute about qualifying. I don't think it's going to go ahead, so it's a bit unfortunate. Like you just said, at least we got tomorrow, so.
The benefit of a double header, you know, is that it looks dry as well, thankfully, tomorrow, so we'll get some action on them. But I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for today.
Yeah, I'd hope so. You know, I like changing conditions, so I'm happy with whatever, mate. Just get in and drive about, you know.
That's the most Ticktum thing I've ever heard.
Well, there you go, mate. I ain't changing.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Brilliant stuff there from Dan Ticktum and Saunders. And yeah, that is a reminder. Obviously, we're keen to get qualifying and racing underway, but obviously safety has to be paramount. And if you can't see anything that's in front of you, I mean, that is the stark reminder of what is the top priority here.
Yeah, that is always a difficult part. Driving alone in the wet in these conditions might be doable, and I think qualifying could be doable soon. There might be corners that are still a bit too wet, but I think, yeah, it's getting better, and qualifying should be fine. But if it rains like this in the race, it's really tricky with the visibility. I've had races where I just really didn't want to be there, where you don't even see the car in front or the LED light in the back of the cars, and you're just hoping it's clear in front of you. So yeah, sometimes, yeah, it is a bit dangerous, but you know, we're heroes. We should go out there and show the world what we can do.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. Fighting talk there, Andre. I mean, Katie, obviously in times like this, I guess you do just have to rely on your driver senses more than ever if you really can't see what's going on in front of you.
Yeah, I've done so many races with zero visibility in the dust in the desert, and it's not fun. There, when you've got pace modes.
How do you do it, though? I don't understand. Do you just have like a sick superhero
Well, I don't know. I've had some
strength?
pretty big crashes from exactly that situation, Nikki, so I'm not sure I'm the best person to ask on that. But if you can't see, then you can't see. And it's actually really easy to get kind of your perspective go as well. It happens really quickly, and you're in a different place to where you think, so I completely understand it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, though, it just shows the skill, though, of the drivers, that when you can't see, but you know the track so well, you can still drive. Like, to me, I don't understand it. I can't comprehend how you would do that, but you do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, if they deem it safe to go out, then all of the drivers are going to be pushing as much as they can. Nobody's going to be taking it easy. I think that's the nature of our sport. You're always going to be pushing it to the limits. And it's why we are in the situation that we're in, I think, because, yeah, if you didn't have that personality, then I don't think that they would be standing along this pit lane now.
Should be easy, anyone could do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Right. Well, driving is, of course, all about hand-eye coordination. So we put that to the test with the Envision boys. This is how they got on.
fast.
He's getting a bit angry now, eh?
Whoa! Whoa!
I didn't see the ball going.
Yeah, he went.
Right, we are here together with Seb, or should I say Lord Buemi, third-time winner Monaco. How did that feel?
It was good. Felt like a long time.
It's been your first victory in Envision.
Yeah.
And you jumped from the
pool.
In the pool. That was the bet we had going on, huh? If we win, we jump in the pool.
Yeah. That was the most scary bit of the whole day. So I went up the stairs thinking, hey, it doesn't seem that high. But then when I stood up there, you look like this, and then I said, okay, now I've got to do it. I was expecting it to be very cold. It was raining.
Yeah.
It was at least 30 degrees. Now, obviously, it was a good weekend. Sometimes you need everything to align together.
Yes.
And
you started P8, was it? Yeah. So how do you manage to win that race?
Well, I guess the timing of the attack modes was good. And the last attack actually worked very well for me. I took it at the right time. I managed to pass Roland, Jev, and De Vries quickly.
Buemi with great attraction on the exit of the turn, and now he goes through and into the lead.
And then I managed to build the gap, so I think that was the key of the race.
The Swiss driver wins on the streets of Monaco. Form is temporary, class is permanent. Come on! Yes!
This is for you guys. 3-time Monaco winner, not bad.
What's the best part of being my teammate?
The fun we have.
We had a lot of fun.
You don't take yourself seriously. We're having good fun. Laughing about lots of stuff that we obviously can't say on camera.
No.
It's coming. It's gonna come.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but that's not fast. But we wanted the ball to arrive fast. It's faster or not?
Yeah, fast enough, huh? And the worst.
No, there is no bad points, honestly.
Anyway, we are here in Tokyo now. Another win.
No, we'll work hard. We'll work hard on that, try to replicate it. What do you think our objective aims for this week should be?
Did we ever had so far this season both cars in the points?
I don't think we did, no.
No. Obviously, both cars in the top 5 will be a dream, but if we scored double point, that will be a good race.
I'm giving up.
So their ambition is to both be in the points at the end of this race, which could be very doable because they've both finished in the top 10 in FP2.
Well, I'm just going to confirm the news that has just come through from race control. Qualifying is cancelled. There's your qualifying session is cancelled. There it is on the radar. The session is over. Down to Nikki.
Do go ahead, and Oliver Rowland would claim a pole position.
So qualifying is cancelled, and Oliver Rowland will start on pole position with Eduardo Mortar in second and Norman Nato is third. Taylor Barnard fourth with Nick de Vries is fifth, Sebastian Buemi sixth, Dan Tinctum seventh, Jean-Eric Verne eighth, Max Gunther ninth, and Robin Friends is 10th. Da Costa is 11th with Burden 12th, Cassidy 13th, 14th for Van Dorn, 15th for Hughes, Maloney 16th, Verline 17th, De Grassi 18th, Evans 19th, Beckman's 20th, Muller 21st, and Dennis 22nd. A major shake-up, but qualifying is cancelled, so the session will not take part.
Because that could be the qualifying result.
Yeah, we were just hearing that he was discussing that and saying it was part of the plan, and that he was wanting to push in free practice too, because obviously they'd seen the forecast and that the rain was going to be coming in for quali. So they know the rule book better than anyone else, and I guess as a team they've got strategies beyond strategies. So yeah, smart move from Nissan this morning.
Yeah, smart boy, smart team indeed. Now we have been told that we have an update from race control. Let's hear from them now.
Hi, attention everyone, this is Race Control speaking. Sadly, we are forced to cancel qualifying session, so the grid will be taken based on the results of free practice 2. Yeah, there are very bad weather conditions, as you can see. There is a lot of stationary water on the track, and which is not making driving safe. We will stay focused on racing, on the race, so thank you very much and good luck.
So qualifying is cancelled. We apologise that we've made you get up or stay up, but we thank you nonetheless. We'll see you in 3 hours' time when the green lights will go on and the race will begin. Ollie Rowland's on pole position after his FP2 time, but what on earth is the race going to bring? Join us at 6:30 British Summer Time for the action. Sorry about this. Bye-bye.